Following the success of the far right in Austria's national elections, but without a clear parliamentary majority, political parties with clashing ideologies face the issue of potential coalitions. Karl Nehammer, who is the leader of the Austrian Conservative Party, which came in second place, rejected a potential coalition with the far-right Freedom Party so long as it's led by Herbert Kickl. A major question is whether the Conservatives and Social Democrats will align, potentially with an additional smaller party like the Greens, to form an anti-Kickl coalition.
Herbert Kickl ist ein Stratege. Und er hat eigentlich zwei Optionen. Und die Option 1 heißt, wir gehen gerne in eine Regierung und wir reden mit allen, aber es ist ganz klar, der Kanzler heißt Herbert Kickl und diese Regierung hat eine blaue Handschrift. Wenn das nicht der Fall ist, dann geht er in Opposition und schaut sich erste Reihe fußfrei eine Koalition aus ÖVP und SPÖ an mit einem Mandatüberhang im Parlament oder vielleicht eine Dreierkoalition mit Neos noch dazugeholt oder den Grünen. Die haben dann zwar mehr Mandate, aber bekanntermaßen, wenn man nach Deutschland sieht, eine Dreierkoalition ist jetzt kein Kindergarten.
Alternatively, the Conservatives could replace Nehammer with a new leader more amenable to working with Kickl. As a whole, they may prefer a merger with the Freedom Party over an alliance with the left. The Freedom Party's election victory sparked a demonstration outside the Austrian parliament as citizens expressed concerns over the rise of the far right.
Ich mache mir Sorgen um die Demokratie, um unser Land und um unsere Zukunft und die Zukunft unserer Kinder.
Wir haben ja gesehen, was 39 passiert ist und ich habe große Angst, dass es wieder passiert.
Ich bin heute hier, weil es mir Angst macht, dass die FPÖ 30% hat. Es sind einfach Bedingungen, wo Österreich besser wissen sollte, was zu tun ist.
In 1983, the Social Democrats and the Conservatives accounted for almost 91% of the votes. This has now dropped to less than 50%. The political establishment's hefty defeat is the latest example of shifting voting trends across the continent.
A large wildfire burning through mainland Greece has killed 2 people, authorities said on Monday. The 2 men were believed to be residents of Kilokastro off the Peloponnese coast. 350 firefighters, assisted by 18 water-dropping aircraft, were deployed to battle the blaze. The fire was fanned by strong winds blowing through tinder-dry forests. Greece's warm spring and hot summer has been attributed to climate change. The fire's large front has been put out, but scattered flare-ups continue to burn, forcing the evacuation of 3 villages. Civil protection officials warn that several parts of the Mediterranean country, including roads, would face a high risk of wildfires on Tuesday.
The Israeli military says its aircraft have struck Houthi targets in Yemen in response to a recent attack on Israel. The IDF says it targeted power plants and seaport facilities in the city of Hodeidah. Houthi-run media say at least 4 people were killed and 33 others wounded in the strikes. Speaking to military personnel in Tel Aviv, Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant said the strikes were impressive.
אין לנו עניין להרחיב את המלחמה, אין לנו עניין לחפש חזיתות נוספות, אבל אם מישהו יתקוף את ישראל, כמו שעשו החות'ים לאחרונה בטילים ולאורך כל המלחמה בתק"ק ובתל"שים ובכטב"מים, כל אחד שיבצע פעולה כזאת, אנחנו נבוא איתו חשבון ואנחנו יודעים לעשות את זה.
Meanwhile, in Lebanon, at least 24 people were killed in Israeli airstrikes that hit 2 adjacent buildings near the southern city of Sidon. The Lebanese health ministry says at least 29 people were injured. Israel and Hezbollah have exchanged almost daily fire since the war in Gaza started in October, displacing tens of thousands of people on both sides of the border. And speaking to reporters on his flight back to Italy from Belgium, Pope Francis suggested that Israel's attacks in Gaza and Lebanon have been immoral.
La difesa sempre deve essere proporzionata all'attacco. Quando c'è qualcosa sproporzionato si fa vedere una una tendenza dominatrice che va oltre la moralità.
Strikes deeper into Lebanon have intensified in the last week, particularly in the wake of the killing on Friday of Hezbollah's chief Hassan Nasrallah in a southern suburb of the capital, Beirut.
Pope Francis ended a controversial trip to Belgium by condemning abortions and describing doctors who deliver them as hitmen. He made the remarks to reporters during an in-flight press conference on his way back to the Vatican.
I medici che si prestano a questo sono, permettimi la parola, sono sicari. Sono dei sicari. E su questo non si può discutere. Si uccide una vita umana.
The comments came as Belgium is in the throes of updating its abortion legislation. Lawmakers are attempting to extend the legal limit for the healthcare procedure from 12 to 18 weeks. The European Parliament has also called for initiatives aiming to ensure free and safe abortions for all. An Israeli airstrike hit central Beirut early on Monday. The airstrike targeted a multi-storey apartment in a residential area lined with shops. There are conflicting accounts of the death toll, with a Lebanese civil defense official stating one person died and 16 were wounded. A Palestinian leftist faction in Lebanon said 3 of its members were killed in the attack. Israeli officials have not commented on the matter.
The Freedom Party has secured the first parliamentary election victory for a far-right party in post-World War II Austria. A projection for ORF public television showed the party finishing first with 29.2%. That win pushed Chancellor Karl Nehammer's Austrian People's Party into second place with 26.5%. Freedom Party leader Herbert Kickl said it was a piece of history that we have written together today.
Wir haben das verinnerlicht, wir fühlen uns bestärkt und wir werden von diesem Weg auch nicht abgehen. Diese 29% sind für uns eine Bestärkung. Diesen Weg, den wir bisher gemeinsam eingeschlagen haben, mit noch größerer Intensität.
But to become Austria's new leader, Kickl needs a coalition partner to command a parliamentary majority, and that might be tricky. He said he's open to negotiate with other parties, but so far his rivals, including Nehammer and Social Democrats leader Andreas Babler, have said they won't work with the far right. Speaking in Vienna, outgoing Chancellor Karl Nehammer said it was bitter that his party lost, but his position towards Kickl hadn't changed.
Mit Herbert Kickl, der an Verschwörungstheorien glaubt, die WHO als nächste Weltregierung bezichtigt und das Treffen in Davos als Vorbereitungstreffen für die Weltherrschaft, kann man so vernünftig und verantwortungsvoll keinen Staat machen.
The Freedom Party's win sparked protests outside the Parliament building in Vienna, with demonstrators holding placards with slogans including "Kickl is a Nazi." The far right has benefited from frustration over high inflation, the war in Ukraine and the COVID-19 pandemic, and has also built on worries about migration. The final official results will be published later in the week after a small number of remaining postal ballots have been counted. Hundreds of protesters have taken to the streets of Paris to call for an end to Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon. The rally comes as Israeli strikes across the country killed dozens of people on Sunday.
On veut juste un seul objectif, c'est montrer l'unité du peuple libanais. Une image qui montre tous les Libanais qui veulent de partout du Liban, de différents courants politiques, pour soutenir le Liban, les réfugiés, les victimes, soutenir notre pays et défendre notre pays.
Israel and Hezbollah have exchanged almost daily fire since the war in Gaza started in October, displacing tens of thousands of people on both sides of the border. Israel has ramped up its aerial assault on Lebanon, with more than 700 people killed in the last week alone. On Saturday, Israel moved troops close to its northern border, raising fears of an imminent ground offensive into the country. France has been a key supporter of Israel, defending its right to self-defense for years. An arms export report presented to Parliament by the Defence Ministry in 2023 showed that France had issued 767 export licenses to Israel since 2015. France sells an average of 20 million euros worth of military equipment to Israel each year. In April, 11 NGOs in Paris, including Amnesty International, filed a court case to stop France's arms sales to Israel, arguing that civilians in Gaza were being targeted. The court rejected that request in May.
A new natural gas system has opened in the Greek city of Alexandroupolis, consisting of a floating storage and regasification unit which converts liquefied natural gas back into gas. The project is expected to generate €382 million in CO2 emission and fuel switch savings by contributing to the replacement of coal and oil by gas. It also includes a system of submarine and land pipelines through which natural gas is imported into Greece and transported to Southeast Europe.
What I can tell you is that Greece, with the existing and now Alexandroupolis infrastructure plus the investment made in the network, will have by early next year an export capacity of approximately 8.5 billion.
Southeast Europe has remained one of the areas with the largest dependence on Russian gas. Building new infrastructure to import LNG from various countries strengthens Europe's resilience and reduces reliance on this single gas source.